Welcome guys! Games Workshop just released a new Necromunda starter set right in the middle of me making this video, so I'm going to include it. And today we're going to talk about if Necromunda is right for you. Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage, and personally I've had a blast playing Necromunda for the better part of a year. You can see our progress in our battle reports from Season 1, which was our first few games, and then in Season 2, where we take a stab at a Dark Uprising campaign, and then where we are now to Season 3. Now, I do get a lot of questions from people about the game, and believe it or not, a lot of people that watch our battle reports don't actually play the game. So I wanted to make this video to help you decide maybe if Necromunda would be a good fit for you or not. Necromunda is not going to be a game for everyone. I happen to like Necromunda for the general setting, the narrative, and the immersion, as well as the gameplay. But let's discuss a few points on what I would consider pros of Necromunda and why it may appeal to you. The first I've already touched on, but it is the narrative and the setting and the immersion. Necromunda takes place in the 40K universe, and the story behind that universe, the planet Necromunda, and the gangs therein are second to none. Games Workshop has done a fantastic job bringing this setting to life. It gives us a solid foundation to form our own backstories and catapult our gangs into a narrative of their own. A big part of Necromunda are the stories that you make from game to game. If you like the narrative aspect, when your decisions on the battlefield can have longer-term impacts, then Necromunda may be appealing for you. The game can be played non-narratively, but the core of the game really drives you towards that narrative gameplay. In addition, because of the narrative, the scenes that you create are so immersive. You'll be having a ton of fun when your own fighter falls from the highest catwalk into a toxic pool, or when a lone initiate somehow takes down an enemy champion. The game is full of moments like those. Another pro of Necromunda is the ability to make it your own. The game has limitless opportunities and replayability. If you've seen any of my battle reports, you'll see that no two games have ever been alike. The ability to kit bash and even make your own fighters and terrain may be appealing to some people. It may also give you an opportunity to open up a new piece of the hobby that maybe you haven't explored before. In addition, you're encouraged to do those things, from creating your own scenarios and developing parts of your own story. Next is core game mechanics, and for me, alternating activations, getting away from the I go, you go, I move my entire army, you move your entire army type of system, and alternating activations to where you're always engaged. I really like those types of games, and I'll share my story as to why. Now this is certainly debatable, but I'll share my story. Warhammer 40K is a mass army type of game, whereas Necromunda is more skirmish based. But my introduction to 40K, when I'm talking about turn activations specifically, one of my first games was 6th edition. I played Dark Angels as they were part of the box set, and I played against a Necron player just trying to get a feel for the game. And he brought a Transcendent Catan. And, we took all the time, setting up the terrain, and I had the first go, so I was being very slow, obviously, being new. But move everything up and shoot at the Catan. I don't really do any damage, and then that sole thing starts to wipe my army completely off the board, almost in the first turn. I think he even moved over the top of a Land Raider and blew it up. So afterwards I asked my opponent why we took the time to even set everything up. I thought we took more time setting the game up than actually playing it, but it was a really rough starter beginner experience. In Necromunda, with the alternating turns and the alternating activations, you're going to have an opportunity to play the game, and you consistently feel engaged. In short, if you move a fighter into the open ground, hoping to maybe get a charge off on the next turn, if you can win priority roll, that's a risk that you take. But when you do that, your opponent, if they have activations left, they may have the opportunity to counter that. And it goes out and back like that. And I really enjoy games that have that alternating turn system, where you get risk and you get reward. So if alternating turns is something that is appealing for you and having that opportunity to be really engaged in the game throughout the turn, then Necromunda may be something for you. Last but not least, Necromunda is easy to get into. I believe you can buy a box of 10 fighters for less than $50 US in most cases. And as of today, in making this video, Games Workshop has released a new starter box, which is really exciting news. The starter box appears to have 2 gangs and some Zone Mortalis terrain to really help you create a small battlefield and get a feel for the game. This would be something ideally that you could split with a friend and cut the cost in half. Now, there are some books that you'll want to have as well, but there's also a lot of community resources out there to really help you get your bearings before you decide to make the plunge. Now, creating the immersion and getting into terrain can cost some money, but there's a lot of really budget-friendly ways to create your own terrain, and you can look up some awesome content creators on YouTube: Black Magic Craft, Wylock's Armory, Eric's Hobby Workshop, Narb Makes, Terrainosaur, a new one that I found, Hacksaw's Hobby Bunker, Kit Bashing from Rapid Tabletop, and many more. You can also go with a friend to visit your local gaming store and maybe use their house terrain while you get a feel for the game. Now, I will say the community for Necromunda is absolutely outstanding. There's a Facebook group where you can ask any questions, and normally you'll have answers within minutes. Yak Tribe is out there with gang management tools. Their system is completely awesome. They also have a forum. You can ask questions there and get a feel for list building and any questions that you may have. Great community. There's a subreddit as well, and many other places where people are contributing to this game. There's even great podcasts from the folks over at Sump City Radio, as well as the Dome Runners. So if community support and a really easy budget-friendly start is something that appeals to you, Necromunda may be a game you can consider. So if you like narrative-style games with alternating turn activations, limitless creativity, and the ability to make the game what you want it to be, and a great community and support group, Necromunda may be a game for you. But as I said earlier, it's certainly not a game that's going to appeal to everyone, so we will quickly list some cons on why Necromunda may not be for you. First, the rules. I dare to say the rules aren't particularly well written. That's certainly debatable, but I think most people would agree. The way that they are worded, it certainly creates a lot of ambiguity in the rules, and you will be often reaching out to the community to, find answers when rules start to stack onto each other is when things get really odd. But the rules are also scattered across numerous books as of right now. If you want to have the core experience, that can be achieved with one book, but then when you start really diving into the details and adding to your gang and things like that, the rules can be spread out in numerous places, including White Dwarf issues. Another con to be considered would be the bookkeeping. A lot of people do not like that aspect of the game. The core of Necromunda tends to drive you towards that narrative type of play style. And if you're doing a campaign, bookkeeping is certainly going to be a part of it. That may not be something that appeals to everyone. A lot of people just want to play the game and move on from game to game. You can certainly do that with Necromunda, but if you want the full experience, the campaign is really where you take it to the next level. Another potential con is it is a skirmish-based game with the need for a lot of terrain. And if you really want to get the full experience out of Necromunda, when you see our battle reports, we use a lot of terrain, and there's certainly cost involved with putting that on a table. And filling out a 3x3 table, not only from a width perspective, but also from a height perspective, it can be a daunting task, and the rabbit hole can be deep. Now, this may turn some people off as, when you look at my battle reports, you kind of see those as the, wow, look at that table. And then you try to go and recreate that and see the time that it takes to actually get to that point. That can be a bit of a turnoff, but with a little patience, that can easily be overcome. Lastly, Necromunda is a specialty game, and by that I simply mean that it is not mainstream 40K. And if you want to get the full impact out of Necromunda, it really lies in the campaign. And in order to do that, you need to find a group of like-minded people that, enjoy this setting and the narrative style aspect as much as you do. And often that can be difficult to do, but there's a great community out there online to maybe help you find players in your area. Also, you could consider sharing a few of my videos with them and let them decide if Necromunda would be a game that they might enjoy. Now, if you notice, I did not list cost as a con because that is subjective depending on who you ask. Necromunda can be a very budget-friendly game, especially when you can get in at a lower cost for 10 fighters and make your own terrain. But the rabbit hole is certainly deep, and it can be as expensive of a hobby as you would like it to be. So if you're a person out there that really has to have those clear, concise rules, you don't really care too much about that narrative gameplay aspect or more of that competitive player, a lot of the scenarios and things in Necromunda are very unbalanced, but when in life has there ever really been a fair fight, then Necromunda may not be a game for you. I find Necromunda to be a wonderful and genuinely rewarding experience. There's something about this little piece of the grimdark future that really resonates with me and gives me a ton of satisfaction. Only you can decide if it's right or wrong for you, but maybe this video will help you or someone else decide. As always, thank you so much for watching. I will put links in the description to a lot of the things that I discussed in this video. If you would like to support us here at the channel, just leave us a like on this video, as that lets us know that we're doing the right things. If you would like to support the channel indirectly, I'll put some Amazon affiliate links down below, one for the US, one for the UK. I think somebody bought some paper plates and I got 40 cents the other day. That was awesome. So any Amazon purchase qualifies us for a small commission here, and that, and then some, goes right back into making this content even better. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Not a game that will appeal to everyone, and we'll quickly list some cons of Games Workshop has done a fantastic job bringing this setting to life. It gives us a solid foundation to form backstories of our own. Mother